So several people asked me, is it even worth it? Is it worth my time? Is it worth my money to even butcher my own animals? Last weekend we butchered 2 hogs. I think it is worth your time. I think it is worth your money. I think it's worth your energy. This video is going to break down exactly what all that costs. What did I pay for the animals? What did I pay for all of the equipment? Is it still worth it? How long is it before you're making money, or are you making money on day one? If you want to know about those things, this is the video for you. So item 1 might actually be the most important. It's the animal. In this case, I bought 2 300-pound hogs. I paid $250 for each one. When you add up, that's priced live as it's standing there at the farm. It comes to roughly about 90 cents, right? 90 cents a pound. Now, keep in mind, you're paying 90 cents a pound for a lot of parts of the animal that you're not going to eat, but that's just the way it works, right? So you're going to pay $250 up front for a live animal, and then I'll break down what all that costs. Cool, so you bought a 300-pound hog. That means you got 300 pounds of meat, right? No. That's not at all how that works. You buy the animal, it's alive, it's sitting there like talking to you, right? So there's a lot of parts of that animal you're not gonna eat, but I will show you what I walked away from after the 300-pound animal was butchered and processed. Okay, so what did I get out of all that effort? Number 1, we made our own brat patties, right? It's burger, it's seasoned to taste like a brat. We pattied them, we froze them all in, and I have like freezer bags, Ziploc bags filled with brat patties. I got 100 pounds of pork seasoned in patties. Now that's a lot, but that's okay. My family, we eat a lot, so it'll be gone in several months. Okay, great. So what else did you get? I got boneless pork chops. Easy to do. Instead of cutting through, keeping the bone on there, we'll cut the whole loin out, slice it all up, put it in freezer bags, right? So it says chops 22, years from 2022. I also got a couple of roasts. You guys know what a roast look like. You don't need me to show you that. Yeah, but is it worth it? Well, is the value you get out of it, it's your work versus exchange for your money, right? So here, from my local grocery store, I looked up some prices, and I'll probably show you the actual screenshots while I talk about this, right? So boneless pork chops, you get 2 8-ounce pork chops for $5. For the number of pork chops that I got, I would have had to spend $70. Okay, Sean, what about the pork roast? You said something about pork roast. At my local grocery store, I only ended up keeping 2 of those because I didn't want that many. They would have cost, at my local grocery store, they would have cost $8.98 a piece. And I got 2 of those, so what is that? Just under 20 bucks. What I was after this particular time, because I may do this a couple of times a year, was I wanted seasoned pork burger, so it'd be like brat burgers, right? Now, the absolute most hands-off way you could do that is you'd go to the store, and I can actually buy brat patties at my local grocery store. I can get three 6-ounce burgers for $5. I would have had to buy 89 packages of those to get 100 pounds worth. That would have come to $445. So I think if I added that up correctly, you would spend right at $533 for the amount of food that's in my freezer right now that I paid $250 for. Now, is that a fair representation? Is it like, wow, Sean, you're just printing money? Not exactly, right? Because there's also a lot of equipment that I just own, right? But the variable cost is the price of the pig, and when you get done, you're like, was that a good deal? This was a good deal for us. Okay, great. Now, what about all the other stuff that you just happen to own? I'll try to walk through what some of that stuff is, what is optional, and what I think would be required if you're going to do this at yourself, at your home, or you're going to get started doing this like tomorrow, right? number one, I don't have a walk-in cooler. We just don't have that. I don't know anybody who really does have that. So number one, I only do this activity in the wintertime when Mother Nature can be my cooler outside. So if I need something to be frozen or a little cooler, I can just go set it outside, maybe on the tailgate of my truck, and let Mother Nature freeze it. So that costs me nothing, just a little patience. I just don't do this during the summertime. Now I'm not gonna totally break down every single nickel, right? Like, you need a knife. Now this is just a fillet knife, but, and hey, does your knife cut? It'll probably work. I assume you have a knife, right? Otherwise, even this video might be just a teeny bit too advanced for you, right? But like, here's something you may not have. This looks like a hacksaw, right? It's not, it's called a meat saw. So I will go out in the barn, I will put a screw in the wall. This will hang there all year long until I need it next time. Not to be used on anything except cutting through like bones and things of that nature. Now the brand of this is called Lem, and this costs $50. Okay, so a $50 saw, is that really required? It kind of is, right? So you can maybe go to like maybe a farm sale or something, you can find an old one, but if you're gonna buy a new one, it costs about $50. Now that costs $50 one time. You can use that on all sorts of animals, right? You can, we butcher deer and we butcher pigs. I've helped with beef before. Those are some big animals. That's a little bit beyond what I know, what I do, right? But again, this is like a one-time thing and I can use it forever. Another thing that you're gonna need some tubs. You just will. And one tub, I'll be honest with you, one tub's not gonna do it. I think I own 4 or 5 of these, and people that came over to help me brought 4 or 5 of theirs. You're gonna use more tubs than you think you will. They were like 15 or 16 bucks a piece. I'll show you the real price of those now. All right, now here's an optional piece, right? I don't know if you've ever seen one of these before. This is called they call this a stuffer, right? So you take this container out of here, like so, right? Put your meat inside, your hamburger after it's ground, put it in here, and then you crank this knob down here, and then it allows you to easily package it up. I personally own this thing. I do not use that, or did not use that this particular weekend, right? Some friends of mine did. This is like 190 bucks, I think. I probably didn't need to buy that. Looking back at it, I've used it to make summer sausage and things like that before, but like for what I did this weekend to get the meat in the freezer to feed my family, this is absolutely optional. It is not required. A couple other things, I would argue whether this is required or not. I have a couple of these, right? These are called patty makers. Now, how they work is there's a knob up here. You crank this, that adjusts the plate. You put down wax paper, put your hamburger in there, and it makes a perfect patty for you. Now, are those required for what we did this weekend? It's not like required. I could have just put the hamburger, the pork burger in a Ziploc bag, but for us, it's a luxury, but we prefer to freeze it ahead of time in patty format. So then in the summertime, I don't have to think in advance like, hey, what do we want for supper tonight? I can just go take the burgers out of the freezer as is and put them directly on the grill. That's super nice, convenient. Okay, so patties directly off the grill, convenience. If you were just doing it to feed your family, you wouldn't necessarily need those, but they're pretty nice to have. Now I remember, yeah, this is the old man in me. Back in the day, these were only like 10 bucks, and then they went to 15 bucks. Now, because of the crazy world we live in, they're like $35 or $40 a piece. So, not required, but probably one of those things you'll eventually pick up. Now, the number one thing that is required is a grinder. This is a 1 horsepower grinder by Lem. I think they refer to it as the number 22, right? Super easy to use, right? You chunk out your meat, you put it in top, it goes down the hole, and then you have one of your tubs sitting down here and the meat comes out here. Then you sprinkle your seasoning on the meat and then you run it through again. That's it. I'd love to tell you there's more to it. I've owned this grinder for well over 10 years. I bought it at Shields for, I don't remember if it was $500 or maybe $550. This thing, they say it can grind about 600 pounds an hour. Now, I don't know that I've ever ground 600 pounds an hour. That's a lot of grinding, but the point is the machine can go faster than I can go, so it's like it's not waiting for me. It makes things go faster. Now, I only did 2 hogs this weekend, but in the past, I have participated in a day when we did six hogs in a day. That was a long ass day. The last thing that I think you might want to consider getting is a big scale, right? If you have a big scale, you can then put one of those tubs on top of here, right? And it'll tell you how much it weighs. Now, why is that important? That's important when you're making your brat, when you gotta add seasoning to your burger, because you only need, each package only seasons so much. Now, the packages that we use, they claim that they do, each package seasons 50 pounds of meat, or 25 pounds of meat. We don't do that. I measure out 40 pounds of meat, and then I use 2 packages because we like it a little heavy. So if you had all of this equipment up, even at the savings for the price of the hog versus what you buy at the grocery store, you got a couple things to consider. Number one, do you need 100 pounds in your freezer? If you got that much meat, does it require you to buy a new freezer like it did me? Maybe not worth it, right? Do you have the space for the new freezer? Maybe not worth it, right? So there's got to be a lot of things that like all work out to make this a good deal. For me, I've got plenty of space. I now have plenty of freezer space. I have spread the cost of all this equipment out over multiple years. So it's not just a single day. So for me, it is worth it. Now for you, if someone was like, look, I want to get into this, I'd say the first thing you buy is a grinder and you don't buy anything else, right? Because you can get a lot done with just a knife. Maybe after that, maybe you get a stuffer or some patty makers or some tubs, right? When I first started, I just used the big Tupperware bowls that like, I think doesn't everyone have that big Tupperware bowl that like your kids eat popcorn out of? So I know this is a quick one, guys, but again, I just wanted to like share what everything costs and whether it's a good deal. I'll try to summarize everything when I cut to this on a black screen. But if you like videos like this, please consider subscribing, leave a comment, and let me know what you'd like to see. Otherwise, have a great evening, and I'll catch you next time.